Alright guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Welcome back to Unbiased. I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to start and jump right into our branding section, and it's going to be so exciting because we're going to go through every step of a 10-step branding process. So today we'll be talking specifically about just branding in general, the basics. We have to start with the fundamentals, with the basics. Otherwise, you're going to get lost and you're not going to know what the hell I'm talking about, right? So let's not waste too much time. Smash the like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell for all the latest videos so that you can follow along and keep up with the branding and keep building your brand along with me. Don't forget to turn on your notifications as well. Let's get straight into it. All right, brand building. This is the cornerstone of your business and truly your success. So my method is actually crowdsourced. So meaning I didn't come up with it actually. I actually adapted this off of a half a dozen or so different sources, and I'll link them at the very, very end so you guys can kind of see how I came up with this comprehensive version. This 10-step process is crucial about knowing what your brand does, how it lasts, and how well it's going to do over time, because, well, that's really the most important part, that you're building a brand to leave a legacy. Of course, there's the long short term where, you don't have to work anymore, you don't have to work as much, you can travel or, live the laptop lifestyle, as you will. But these are more of the long-term stuff. So you want this brand to be around forever. So what are we talking about today? Today we're going to talk about the brand basics, terminologies, stuff to beef up your knowledge so you have an understanding of what I'm talking about. Don't worry. I promise I will simplify it down and not get too technical, even though this is a strategy video. The technical walkthrough will be done in a separate video so you guys can reference each one. So, first of all, we'll nail down some questions, guide you through establishing the cornerstone of your business, which is, of course, the purpose. Now, purpose, mission, it's the same thing. We're talking about the same concept. When we're going to figure this out, and I'll go more into this in a little bit, you're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be a little bit difficult, but that's what this video is for, is to walk through this with you. Then we're going to jump right into to figuring out how to build your own mission statement. And really, your mission or your purpose statement is the same thing, interchangeable. I will interchange them. So you want to get to actually writing your purpose statement, and I'll give you a super easy formula and some tips to help you out, as well as a couple of examples. So, quick forward, as I said, this is more important than you can ever imagine. Any marketing person will tell you that this is absolutely crucial. It really does affect every single aspect of your business. It pops up in so many different ways and manifests itself in so many different ways, in so many different mediums. It's non-negotiable for any business. If there's three things that I say that are non-negotiable, one is the brand, number two is the website, number three is, number three is SEO, always. It kind of, the next logical thing. So this is pretty far up there. Like, this is like at the very top. Now, of course, number four is where we start to get into the juicy stuff, like social media and email marketing and all that fun stuff. But that's for another video. I digress. So anyway, this process, I'm recording and uploading this series, so watch it in the way that I'm uploading it. There's a reason why I'm uploading it in this way, and why if you're coming back to this after it's been uploaded, why I've numbered them in such a way. This is actually to make sure that you get the full experience. So you can do this yourself. You don't need to hire a branding coach. You don't need to hire a marketing agency like myself to do it for you. You can take it to yourself. And I'm not going to discourage you from doing that, but I will leave the option open for you guys if at the very end of the video you want to take a look at the special offer for the people at the end of the video, and it'll be available throughout the branding course. We'll have different offers depending on what part we are at. So stay tuned. So time-wise, you should allow for the total branding process about 3 to 4 hours. Now I'm talking about the entire thing start to finish. Most people do decide to do it after over 2 or 3 days, and this is, I mean, it kind of does tax your brain a little bit, but there's a reason why it's so important. And of course, I encourage you to take breaks. Don't be afraid. Remember, this is the core. This is it's okay to deliberate for a little bit. So let's get into the basics. So we want to cover 4 main vocabulary words today. Got to go back to the basics. So they're so similar, and they're used in the place of one another. And if you aren't actively building a brand, most people won't call you out on it. If you would say one or the other, it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, we can take context clues and figure out what you're talking about. But for the purposes of today, we are building a brand, so I do want you to be up on the lingo so that you know what I'm talking about throughout this course. So, building a brand, most people will inference, as I said, most people will inference what you mean. But let's talk the brand. So, brand definition. A brand is an intangible marketing or business concept that helps people identify a company, product, or an individual. Now, I know I just read this straight off of the screen here, but there's a reason why I boiled it down here. So basically, your brand is all the stuff that differentiates you from your competitors in your niche, as well as non-related brands like Google or Twitter. What differentiates you between those guys? That's part of your brand. It all falls under the same thing. A little higher of a definition there instead of the super boiled. Now, number 2 is branding. Now, branding, don't worry, as soon as I finish all these terms, you'll get a side-by-side comparison where we can, take a look at that. So, branding is the process of shaping how people think and view your brand. It's how do you want to be seen? There's no really, and really this doesn't take much more explanation. We will, of course, dig into this later. But now, brand identity. So, of course, everything else, your logo, your website, your social media, your business cards, it's just everything else, your brand identity. How does your brand show up? I always like to say, what is the projection of your brand? That's your brand identity. All right, now here's that side-by-side I mentioned. I did just throw a lot of terms at you, so don't just relax. So let's just a little side-by-side recap to keep your head from spinning out. So the brand is intangible concepts and thoughts about that your brand communicates. Branding is what you do to make people see your brand in the proper light, and brand identity is all the things that you create as far as logo, products, taglines, mottos, websites, social media, emails, everything else falls under brand identity. All right. Now, there's one more term that's kind of separate from those, and that is the brand strategy. So that's everything that we're going to do to drive awareness, engagement, loyalty in our customers and clients, and of course, we got to do it strategically. So, we want to have a couple of things in mind when we are using or when we're creating brand strategy. So everything that we are executing to talk to our target audience in the long term, we want to talk about first, what is the customer need? What is our customer need? What is our consumer, client, whatever words you want to use? What do they need? And how can your company best fit those needs? Number 2, we want to talk about and build out a strategy to put emotions. What emotions are attached to your goods, products, services, blah, 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 so that everybody's feeling, in the mood to make a purchase from you. And then number 3 and final real big one is, where do you fit in the market? What is your placement, your competition? And this, of course, will be in a later video. I will go into how to do all this fun stuff later on. But keeping up with that. So the easiest way to establish your mission in a powerful, impactful way, and you'll hear me say the word impact a lot because I do think that is the best descriptor for when we're using branding. You want to be as impactful as possible because that's where you're going to build dominance. There's a reason why Google, why Twitter, why Facebook, why they're such dominant brands, because they have an impactful brand strategy. And they started with, what is their contribution? What is their impact? Now, the suggestion to start by working backwards was game changer for this whole idea. So your mission or your purpose statement is notoriously hard. Like, this is, copywriters will sit there and they will have a brand profile, and we're trying to boil it down, and sometimes we'll go through 50 or 100 different edits of this one sentence, one paragraph, sentence, paragraph, 1 to 2 sentences, really. But trying to write and convey all of the feelings, thoughts, and emotions into one sentence is mind-shatteringly hard. And it's hard. It's okay if you take a lot of time to do this. So your purpose statement is created by boiling your brand down into a single impactful sentence. Now, of course, single, 1 to 2, that's up to you. So you may be sitting here like, LJ, I have no idea how to put that into words. Literally you and everybody else. It's okay. I know it's hard. That's why this video exists. That's why I decided to start doing this series about branding and doing it for yourself. Your brand is the cornerstone of everything. So I really wanted to make sure that you guys had a really good presentation together, combined with my elite video presentation skills and my Bitmojis. So let's jump in. So contribution and impact. Let's figure this out. Keep it easy peasy lemon squeezy, because of course we don't want to complicate things that don't need to be complicated. The best marketing isn't complicated. It's simple. So these are the best phrasings, and these are direct phrasings. To define your contribution, what is the change you make in others' lives? And to talk about your impact, what impact does that change provide? So, start with your contribution, move to your impact, of course. So let's talk. The mission statement for GDM is to enable creation, growth, and cohesion in our communities so that we can communicate sovereignty and abundance to empower everyone. It took us 5 hours to come up with this. Now, technically, if I really wanted to be an English asshole, I could split this up into 2 sentences, but I don't want to be. I'm fine with it. So, anyway, point of this is, it's okay to deliberate and have a little bit of a problem with, creating it and, phrasing your idea. But at this point, now that you've got everything there that I've given you so far, you've got the 2 questions, go ahead and pause the video and get right into answering those 2 questions. I'll pop them back up. Quick reminder if you forgot. All right. So now that you have your impact and contribution figured out, once again, don't try to proceed if you don't have this, or else this next part is going to be even harder. So just don't try to skip over it. It's okay. It's okay. Just go back. All right, cool. So now you want to define your what, why, and how. So what, where, why, and how. Remember, your English teacher always said that. So now let's talk about your what. So what are you capable of doing? Now that can be in terms of services, skills, products, jobs. Number 2 is, why would you do what you do? So that's talking about what values do you hold, what philosophies are important to you, what guiding principles do you hold dear. Those are the things very, very important to the creating the messaging. Number 3, how do you show your why? So number 1, 2, 3, obviously they build on top of each other. So number 3 has to correspond to what number 2's answer is. How do you show your why? What causes do you support? What purposes and beliefs do you uphold surrounding your why? So now let's go ahead and take a look at your what. So take a piece of paper and just list out your products, services, skill sets, and job functions. So products can be digital or physical. So an ebook and a wax candle would both fall under that category. Number 2 is going to be to provide or services. So let's take an example from my company: branding, SEO, and press releases. Those are all 3 things that we handle and that we offer. Number 3 on the list is skill sets. So things like physical therapy and physical therapy and rehabilitation. God, that's a long word. So often services and skill sets do overlap because, for example, personal training can be both a service or a skill set depending on the context that you need it or that you need it for, and based on your audience, which we will talk about in a later episode. So stay tuned for that fun stuff. But just so that there's no confusion here, you can repeat them in both parts. So don't stress. Just kind of mark it or put a little mark next to it that's like, this applies for both a service and a skill set. And number 4 on the list is job functions. So this is more of like for personal branding, but specifically we want to use this for things. Oh, also you can use it for agencies, and for example, we do fractional CMO work. So that's something that is included in our function. So example, here's a list of our what. Now, obviously I've typed it away from our brand, our written brand sheet, and put it onto a Word document that everybody on our team has access to, and that's how we all stay consistent across the board. And that's ultimately what you want to do. So I would suggest, as you're kind of moving through this, to build up a Word document and start to build up your process, to build up your workbook for, whoever else may be joining your team, hopefully in the near future. So just a quick look over there. Now we want to take a look at the why. So why do you do what you do? Why does it matter? Why the hell should the audience care? So it's more simple to get. Tell the people, tell them why and where your passion for this work comes from. Why it matters to your audience and why it matters to you. Obviously, you want to address your audience first before you address yourself when we're writing copy, but that's okay. Those should be in the other order. But this is bridging the belief with the mission to where the magic happens. So this is very important. So take a couple of minutes and grab your why. Now that you've already got your what down, and now you've got your why, of course, take a look at a couple of our examples from our brand sheet. And number 3 is our how. So how is just one question. How do you show and communicate your why? So coming up with an answer to this question is difficult, to say the least. Just a little bit. Like it's a little more difficult than you would think. So for example, it's the best to just kind of show you examples. That's like that. It's easier to show you how some examples from our brand sheet. So for example, we offer one-on-one coaching and group coaching for everybody. That's just like standard across the board. Anybody that works with us on a DFY basis also comes with coaching and consulting. It's how we're different. This is how we're different. How do we show our why? So let's reference back to our why. There are some coaches who are running around trying their bullshit. Business isn't hard. It's repeatable. Why the fuck is everything expensive for no reason? And this actually, we had to rephrase this one in the end. But why the fuck is everything so expensive for no reason was one of our very first written ones. There's no one in power helping our communities. That was another thing that was really important to us. We have a community-centric model here. So when we're, giving back, that's what we're doing. We're, when you work with us, we're also turning around and trying to do things for not only our staff and our contractors to kind of build up, but also to work in our communities and do some good in those as well. Businesses are being taken advantage of. There is no reliable help or self-serve option. So all of these were big problems, and it was really kind of why did we start this whole thing. And it mostly was because I was pissed off that I had a coach that had no freaking clue what he was doing, and that's okay. I mean, live and learn. Obviously, I should have done better research, which is, it plays. All my mistakes are great because now I get to talk to you guys about them, and hopefully you get to avoid a mistake or two that I was unfortunate enough to make, but we will learn together. So, back on topic, communicating these back into our how. So businesses, coaches don't know what they're doing. So coaching plus fulfillment, obviously, if you can pair both of those, if you can, demonstrate both of those capabilities, obviously you know what the hell you're doing. We have to go deeper. This is psychological branding, and we'll go over that in a little bit later in the episodes. So stick out for that one. That one's going to be a very long but very, very interesting one. So our coaching programs come with a guarantee ROI. So we've actually dismantled the coaching programs. Like I said, this is from our first brand sheet. But now that the coaching programs have kind of been dismantled and rolled into a DFY model, it still rings true, like I said a moment ago, to obviously we know what we're doing. We have this ROI guarantee for ad campaigns as long as you stick with us for 6 months, because that's plenty of time for us to figure out, everything that we need to figure out and get them to where they need to be. So it's like, okay, these are things that we are reliably able to deliver on. Now, most people aren't willing to put these things, they won't put numbers, they won't put guarantees, or I will do this and this. Some people will, but oftentimes they do tend to fall short. Another thing that really separates us out, and this was speaking to our community center, where there was little to no support, or they didn't have any sort of community model. So we're versed in international relations and international public relations. Now, of course, our personal network is still building. Of course, that's how it works. The networks are always going to be building on, and you should definitely take a look at our PR section when it starts to come out next week or later this week. It's going to be real fun. You're going to love it. So unlike other coaches, we don't reach in other people's pockets just for the sake of doing it. So I'm not going to offer help if I'm not 100% confident that I can help you and that I will be able to be successful when helping you. We treat your business like ours. Obviously, that's pretty self-explanatory. You guys see how I am with my business. I'm very serious. I take everything very seriously. I'm very meticulous, and don't tend to make a lot of mistakes. And if I do make a mistake, I do tend to internalize it just a smidge. But that's another conversation entirely. We offer complimentary services and rewards programs. So obviously we want to promote everybody to be here with us. We love having you guys. Community-centric model. Remember that, like, I prefer to meet as many people as possible. It's the greatest thing on earth. We want to be exposed. Me as an extension into the brand. We want to be exposed to as many influences, opinions, people, culture. That's really a big thing in our culture here. And of course, you can click down into the description box and book a call for yourself to find out about branding or other digital marketing such as SEO and PR on your call. We will let you know. Get to know you call. It'll be fun. All right. So continuing on with this, we offer longer coaching. Once again, this has kind of been rolled into the done for you model, but this is still ringing true. All right. So now that we've taken all of that, let's go ahead and put it together. So get all your shit, get all your brainstorming, and let's start to make your mission statement. So it's real simple. It's a real simple formula from early. I put it in here, I think, twice now. So real simple. Write it using this formula as a starting point. Now, obviously, don't stick to this if it doesn't work or if it doesn't sound right. Play around with it, move things around, but ultimately, you want to bridge the contribution to the impact. That's the end goal. Go out onto the internet. You can check any big major company, and you can find their About Us page, and generally their mission statement will be on there. So if you need some other inspiration, Google's is really powerful. I do love HubSpot's as well, and a couple of other ones that are not too shabby. Like, let's see, SEMrush has a really good one. SpyFu has an awesome one that's really, really simple. WordPress is perfect. I mean, it, kind of captures that little bit. But anyway, that's going to kind of wrap it up for our first branding episode. I hope you guys aren't too tired, because there's still a lot more to go through. But it's been fun. Let's do it again sometime. Stick around on my channel for any fun content. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified of all the new videos, and to stay up to date with me and the mascot and just about everything else. Up next, we'll be talking about creating your vision statement. It's going to be lots of fun, of course. Stay tuned. I'll be putting together in the next couple of days. This will not stick to any sort of posting schedule. It's just as soon as I'm done, I'll post them out so that you guys can continue to follow along. All right, don't forget to check our website for our monthly promotion. You can also book a Get to Know You call and mention code YouTube for a complimentary discount specifically for our subscribers. As I mentioned, I've got my all sources and references. The branding process is inspired by and for all of you guys. I can't wait to see you guys in the next episode. Love and light. Namaste.